Formula One is another step closer to potentially welcoming an 11th team, and the Andretti name may return to the Formula One grid as soon as the 2025 season, as Andretti Cadillac's entry received the green flag from the FIA. However, this isn't your typical entry, and the situation seems to be diving headfirst into the worst-case scenario. Today, we'll break down why this approval has put F1 on a collision course with a complex and potentially messy scenario. So make sure you have turned that subscribe button grey, buckle up, and let's dive right in. The pursuit of a potential new F1 team has been ongoing throughout 2023, marked by a contentious backstory. Back in January, Cadillac made the announcement of its partnership with Andretti, aiming to include a minimum of one American driver in their racing lineups. Andretti has been selected as the sole successful candidate to advance to the final stage of the application process, which involves commercial discussions with F1 itself. This phase is likely to be the most complicated, as it hinges on whether Andretti can persuade the commercial rights holder to drop its long-standing objection. Andretti seems quite confident, as he remarked. "We are continuing to grow Andretti Global and its family of racing teams and always have our eyes on what's next. I feel very strongly that we are suited to be a new team for Formula One and can bring value to the series and our partners, and excitement for the fans. I'm proud to have GM and Cadillac alongside us as we pursue this goal." GM and Andretti share a legacy born out of the love of racing. "We now have the opportunity to combine our motorsport passions and dedication to innovation to build a true American F1 bid." F1's stance has remained consistent. Andretti must demonstrate its ability to grow the championship commercially and offer more to F1 than it would take away by dividing the revenue among 11 teams instead of 10. F1's statement went as follows. "We note the FIA's conclusions in relation to the first and second phases of their process and will now conduct our own assessment of the merits of the remaining application. It clearly shows that F1 has been lukewarm about the addition of a new team to the grid, and it retains the authority to reject a commercial agreement, even if such a decision would be controversial, messy, and legally contentious. You might be wondering, why not just approve or reject Andretti Cadillac's application outright? Well, that would have been straightforward. Full approval or immediate rejection would have provided a clear path forward. But the worst-case scenario doesn't revolve around Andretti Cadillac gaining entry. Instead, the concern and disappointment are directed elsewhere, as F1 finds itself in a murky middle ground. As one of the stipulated requirements, Andretti had to demonstrate its commitment to managing sustainability in alignment with the FIA's aspirations to attain the sport's objectives of achieving net zero emissions by 2030. Now, the American-based Liberty Media, the entity that holds ownership of Formula One, will evaluate the presentation put forth by Andretti Global in collaboration with General Motors Cadillac, and the process takes an unexpected turn into potentially futile commercial discussions. And what happens if these commercial discussions fail? We're looking at a legal dispute that could continue for a long time, leaving us scratching our heads about the entire endeavor. This situation is far from the usual excitement and intrigue that comes with the prospect of a new team in F1. If no agreement is reached, it could lead to a legal dispute over the right to compete in F1 without the ability to showcase Andretti Cadillac's cars on TV. The issue at its core is that the prospect of a new F1 team has been anything but typical in this case, and the root of the problem lies in the disjointed approach of F1 and the FIA from the start. Unlike previous instances when new teams were added to the grid, this time the two stakeholders took opposing positions. The FIA sought to explore potential new entries, while F1 displayed a lack of enthusiasm. This has created confusion and misinformation, as many wrongly assume that FIA approval is all that Andretti needed. The conflict was almost inevitable when FIA President Mohammed Ben Sulayem initiated the process in February, inevitably leading to a collision course. Mohammed Ben Sulayem said in a statement, "Andretti Formula Racing LLC was the only entity which fulfills the selection criteria that was set in all material respects. I congratulate Michael Andretti and his team on a thorough submission. I also want to thank all prospective teams for their interest and participation. From the outset, FIA had to adhere to established criteria and approve candidates who met them, even though it was bound to clash with F1's stance. Now, F1 has the unenviable task of scrutinizing Andretti Cadillac's pitch, a process that could take quite a while. As a result, there is uncertainty and confusion, making it difficult for fans to understand the outcome. The lack of clarity in the process and standards for evaluating new teams leaves room for interpretation. It's crucial for F1 to make its reasoning clear if it decides to reject Andretti. This situation reflects a clear tension between protecting existing teams and fostering future growth, and F1 needs to be transparent in its decision-making process. The world is watching, and the decision could impact how car companies view F1's entry process in the future. Andretti's entry is not just about reaching the final phase of the application process, and F1's evaluation isn't merely a formality. And here's where it gets even more complicated. The timeline for resolution is bound to be lengthy, with both parties having access to all the undisclosed details. So the wait for a decision may extend well into the future, potentially overlapping with the start of the 2024 season. So what does all this mean for Formula One? In essence, this isn't just the final phase of the application process. It's the beginning of a complicated and contentious impasse, one that F1 has been unable to avoid, despite its stakeholders' likely awareness of its inevitability, and one that leaves us with more questions than answers. We're facing a high risk of a messy outcome and not nearly enough concrete information to make sense of it all. But given it was the only bid to reach the final stage of the FIA approval process, it raises the question: who is Michael Andretti? Being the son of the legendary Mario Andretti, he was undoubtedly blessed with an extraordinary genetic heritage, which naturally provided him with an advantage in the realm of motor racing. However, when it came to Formula One, a combination of unfortunate timing and some less than ideal decisions ultimately sealed his fate. In 1993, Michael took to the track with McLaren, but regrettably, his performance fell far short of the lofty expectations held by everyone, himself included. This was a stark contrast to his previous achievements as the dominant IndyCar driver during the early 1990s, where his remarkable speed, racing skills, and unwavering courage in late-breaking situations made him the epitome of a true racer. There was no denying that Michael Andretti possessed all the qualities of a genuine racing talent, but regardless of a driver's impressive track record before entering the elite world of Formula One, success is never a guaranteed outcome. While talent is undoubtedly a critical factor, it remains insufficient without a resilient mindset and an unwavering commitment to rally a team towards the common objective of victory. In the context of Formula One, timing plays a pivotal role. Unfortunately for Michael Andretti, his foray into Grand Prix racing in 1993 was seemingly a matter of being in the right place at the wrong time. Now, the question arises, might he have a second opportunity to shine, not as a driver, but as a team owner at the pinnacle of motorsport? That is a question that only Formula One can answer. Well, that's it for today's deep dive into the intriguing but puzzling situation surrounding Formula One's potential 11th team. Stay tuned as we continue to follow this story and bring you updates as it unfolds. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more exciting F1 content, and like and share the video if you liked it. Until next time, happy racing.